Hey everybody, it's low carb and keto friendly nutritionist Amy Berger from 2itnutrition.com bringing you another video in doing keto without the crazy. This particular video is a follow-up to the one I just released on staying keto during this coronavirus epidemic crazy thing the world has going on right now. I wanted to do this follow-up because I realized that I left out kind of a big issue in staying keto during a time like this, because the first video, and I hope you've watched that. If you haven't watched that, I'll put a link to it below. You can go watch part one, and I do hope if you've watched part one, I hope you're tuning into this sort of part two. The aspect that I didn't address is actually really truly staying keto and not letting the fear and the uncertainty and the worry and the stress get to you and force you or send you off plan, right? My previous video was mostly about having self-compassion and maybe like temporarily lowering our standard. If your normal keto perfectionism is here, maybe you could be here and still be totally okay because it's way better than being here, right? So that video was really more of the message that if you're not staying fully super strict keto, it's okay. You know, a couple of meals here and there, or even a couple of days or weeks here and there off plan, depending on how off plan you are, that's not really going to undo however much progress you've made in your health or your weight loss or reversing some type of condition in all the weeks, months, or years that you've been following a low carb or ketogenic diet. Little blips on the radar here and there aren't going to undo all of that wonderful stuff. That being said, I wanted to kind of come in and give this other sort of devil's advocate side of the question, how do you stay keto during a time like this? Well, why wouldn't you stay keto during a time like this? You know, if your food supply is relatively normal, and again, like I mentioned in the first one, you might not have quite the full access to the variety that you normally have, but I'm pretty certain that no matter where you are, there is some type of meat, poultry, seafood, or eggs or dairy products available. Fresh produce doesn't seem to be in too short a supply. Nobody was panic buying broccoli, right? Nobody was really panic buying this perishable stuff. So assuming, and I realize that is an assumption, and some of you may not be in this situation, but assuming that the availability of food where you live is mostly normal and that your cooking and living arrangement is mostly normal, you still have the same access you had before to your oven, your stove, your grill, your slow cooker, your sous vide, whatever you have, and assuming the electricity is still working in your fridge and freezer, there's really no reason that you need to be off plan. You know, if we give ourselves permission to go off plan every time life happens, then where are we? What level of commitment do we even have to eating this way? If every time there's the slightest disruption, it's an excuse to go do something different. You know, I hate the phrase fall off the wagon. That's why I said to go do something different instead. You know, life is always happening. I get emails from people, you know, reaching out like, hey, I'm looking for help with keto. I was doing great for 8 months and then life happened, ... You were living life, so you had to stop keto? Now, before I forget, I realize that right now the circumstances are a little more extreme than the regular life happening, than, oh my, I got a flat tire, oh, my kid came down with a cold. You know, we've got much more serious things going on, and I don't want to dismiss that. But again, why does that have to affect the food choices we make? You know, the collective we, many of us are under more stress. We are feeling more anxious. We are more worried, more scared about even our short-term and long-term economic security and job security. You know, I understand that. I'm not making light of that. But again, that doesn't have to affect what we put in our mouth. It's like a weird you know, I'm feeling this certain thing and this thing happened in my life, therefore I ate pie. What? Oh, okay. I had a beef in my fridge, and I had some hard-boiled eggs ready to go that I made 3 days ago, but life happened, and so I had to have a Twinkie. Life is always happening, right? Life always throws us a curveball. There's always going to be the flat tire, or the kid coming down with the cold, or whatever happening, a change in the schedule, a disruption in the routine. I'm trying to think of other stuff that it's always so, like when I worked in an office environment years ago, it was like every other day somebody was retiring, or it was somebody's work anniversary, or there was always a cake in the break room, there was always donuts, something was always being celebrated. And so those things are always going to be there. And if we use every opportunity, every, disruption, every potential scenario where we could eat off plan and justify it, like, oh, well, it was Joe's birthday, so I had the cake, or oh, it was, Maddie had the chicken pox, and so we had to stop, we stopped at McDonald's on the way home because they didn't have anything made and I had to get the fries. No, these are all still kind of excuses we make for ourselves. And I guess what I was trying to say in the previous video is, if that's happening to you, it's okay. Like, you're not a terrible person if you are making excuses, but let's take ownership. Let's take responsibility. Hey, I had the ability to eat my pork chop and my grilled asparagus. Instead, I chose to go have the burrito with the flour wrap and with the rice and beans. I'm an autonomous, I made the conscious decision to eat the one thing instead of the other thing. You can take responsibility for that and take ownership of that without feeling guilty about it, without feeling ashamed of it. I think that's the point I was trying to make. But I do believe that sticking with keto is almost like a muscle. And the more you exercise it, the stronger it gets, right? Each time you're faced with an opportunity where you can derail and you can choose to have something that you kind of know isn't maybe the best choice for you, and you don't do it, each time you're faced with that opportunity and you say, no, I brought my chicken and my cauliflower and that's what I'm going to have for lunch, that muscle gets stronger and it becomes easier to say no the next time, and the time after that, and the time after that. And maybe every now and then you will have the whatever. You will go for that opportunity. But I think the more you just say that this is the way I eat, and I don't make exceptions, I don't have to make exceptions, I don't need to make exceptions, I do think that muscle gets a little stronger and it becomes easier to turn things down. Not just more, easier for you to be polite about it, like, oh, no thanks, I really don't, oh, that cake looks delicious, but I get a stomach ache when I eat wheat, or oh, that looks really good, but I'm doing so good with my blood sugar, I don't want to mess that up, thank you anyway. It becomes easier for you to be diplomatic about it, but also easier for yourself. I'm doing so well. I have control over this. I feel empowered because of the choices I've made the last 3 months or 3 years or however long, and I'm doing so well. I have no need to just eat whatever because I'm in a weird situation. And then, of course, and that's hard. It's hard, even for us grown-ups, to want to take responsibility and to do things we may not always want to do. And again, I have to absolutely emphasize, if you do make the conscious choice to have something different, it's okay. It is okay. Nobody's going to kick you out of the club. The one meal here and there, the 1 week here and there doesn't negate all of the wonderful things that have happened the whole time you've been keto, prior to life happening and you choosing to go off the map a little bit. And just as some quick tips, if your income scenario has changed greatly, and I know it has for some of you, or you are worried that it's going to, Watch some of my other videos about food quality. I am the least snobbish, elitist person about this. You can get your food at a discount store. You can buy, chicken drumsticks and thighs go on sale by me regularly for like 99 cents a pound. Are they higher in omega-6 than your grass-fed beef and lamb? Yeah. Is it really that big a deal? No. Is it free roaming and free range on a farm? Well, all chickens are raised on farms at some point, right? But I mean, is it like the best possible? Did the chicken have the greatest life ever? No. Is it still pretty darn good for keto? Yeah. Same thing about any other food. Ground beef by me sometimes goes on sale for $2.99 a pound. Grass fed, no. Grass finished, no. Okay, so what? Is it still beef? Is it still fat and protein? Is it still a perfectly fabulous choice for keto? Yeah. So if you normally have the funds, either the funds or the ability to go procure, to travel to a certain place and get a certain quality of food that you're used to, now is an okay time to loosen that up. If the most important thing is staying keto, and I'm not saying that's the most important thing in this whole scenario, I just mean in this, what we're talking about is how to actually stay keto during a difficult time. If that's the main focus, is how do I stay keto regardless of the curveballs life is throwing during the coronavirus or at any other time in life, then the goal is to stay keto. The goal isn't to be perfect. The goal isn't to have every single thing grass-fed and organic and free range and biodynamic and artisanal and blah, blah, blah. The goal is to eat foods that are high in protein and relatively high in fat and very low in carbs. And the goal is to achieve what you want to achieve metabolically. And maybe that means getting the cheapo, $1.99, $1.99 can of sardines, wild caught, I don't know, packed in olive oil that maybe isn't real olive oil. Yeah, sure, okay. Is it still good protein and probably kind of okay fat? Yeah. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. This isn't the time for the normal perfection you have, but if you're able to keep up your normal standard, do it. Great. But I think that's how you stay keto. If you're running through the drive-through, if those places are even still open, I don't know. I have nothing against fast food. Stay away from the fries and the bun. Get the diet soda, get the burger patties. One thing we learn really well from the carnivores is if you're on a ketogenic diet, not necessarily strict carnivore, but you want the fast food burger and you just don't want the bun, don't pay for the burger and throw away the bun. Ask them for burger patties. They can give you them a la carte and they're usually cheaper. You can just get a burger patty. Or 5 burger patties if that's going to be your whole meal. Now you won't get the lettuce and the cheese and the onions or whatever if you just get the patties, but you can probably also do the same thing with a grilled chicken patty. I don't see why not. If you could do it with burger patties, why wouldn't you be able to just, hey, I don't want the chicken sandwich. I just want the grilled piece of chicken. Can you give me 2 or 3 of those? So, same thing. A lot of stores, supermarkets now are not doing their normal grab and go salad bar, like that stuff where people could just kind of help themselves. That's at every store I've been to recently. Those are like not happening right now. Antipasto bars with the olives and stuff, but there's still plenty of stuff that's grabbable. The deli counters are still open for the most part. You can get a pound of roast beef. You can get a pound of oven, roasted turkey. You can grab canned salmon, sardines, mackerel. Non-perishable stuff is great, but perishable stuff is fine. Get your normal meat and eggs and, your normal food. It doesn't, I should have said this earlier, but I guess while acknowledging that these are unique times and that this is, for many of you, a lot scarier and a lot less certain than life's sort of normal curveballs, while acknowledging all that, we can also acknowledge that that isn't a justification to eat whatever and to throw total caution to the wind, right? We can absolutely stick to keto no matter what's going on if we choose to, if we want to, and if we make it easy for ourselves, right? Many of us are home whether we want to be. I normally work from home anyway, so my routine's like almost kind of the same. But many of you are home now where you're not normally home. You have plenty of time to cook, or if you don't like to cook, stick a 5-pound roast in the slow cooker and forget about it for 5 hours. Hard boil 2 dozen eggs so that there's always something keto friendly already prepared and ready to go. And then if you have something off plan, it was your own deliberate choice to do so rather than by default because there was nothing available. There's no reason to have nothing available. And if I'll do another separate video sometime for tips on staying keto if you are, for example, like a long distance trucker or some type of like a salesperson where you're on the road all the time, or a courier where you're just like traveling all the time. I think it's pretty easy to do once you have some tips up your sleeve and you know what's appropriate to keep in your car or your briefcase or whatever. Because I know there's a lot of doctors and nurses and all kinds of medical center personnel. Everyone talks about doctors and nurses. We forget about the orderlies. We forget about the janitors. Every single person that's helping to keep a hospital clean and safe and sterile and just functioning. People in the hospital cafeteria, people that are in these buildings all day. It might be a little tougher for them to stop for a meal. They might have to have things that are ready to go. But now we have meat sticks. We have 0 sugar meat sticks. We have 0 sugar beef jerky. We have all kinds of meat bars. We have nuts. We have string cheese. There's pepperoni, pork rinds. Again, canned salmon, canned fish, canned chicken. There are a lot of options if you know what to look for and depending on what kind of storage space you have. I think in hospitals, most doctors and nurses anyway, maybe not the janitors and orderly types, but some of the people have like a locker where they can keep clothing, they can keep canned food. So I'll maybe do a video on that. So I realize that times are different, but we have options. We're very, very fortunate to be in 2020 where, when I was brand new to this in like 1998, I didn't stick to it till 2003. But when I first was trying low carb in 1998, half of the stuff that I take for granted now didn't even exist. A lot of these meat bars and some of this did not exist. And so the options are there if we choose to use them, and we can choose to use our own inner strength, our own just, this is keto and this is the way I eat, period. It doesn't matter what's coming at me. So there's that side of it. It's not just like, oh, you can't stick to keto. Nobody can. We're really stressed out. Eat whatever you want. That's not the message I meant to give last time. It is the message of self-compassion, but let's also have the get real message and the, pull up the big girl panties and the big boy shorts and be grown-ups and do the thing that we know is best for us to do. And if there comes a time when we can't do that thing that's best, we do the second best or the third best or the next best thing we can to what we know is really best for us. That's it. I hope that makes things a little clearer. And I just wanted to do this because I was like, oh, I could have, in that last video, I could have said, how do you stay keto during crisis? You just stay keto. You buy your normal food, you cook your normal food, and you just do it like you did the rest of the time. I'll see you next time. 2itnutrition.com is my website, or I have a new ebook out. It's called The Stall Slayer, and it's about breaking fat loss stalls on a low-carb or ketogenic diet. You can get that at stallslayer.com. It is a PDF for now. It's an ebook that you download. You can print it out at home if you want to read a hard copy of it. There will be a print-on-demand version coming soon to Amazon. Right now, though, it's only a PDF. Stallslayer.com. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Stay safe, stay healthy, protect yourself, wear a mask. See ya.